entrepreneurs, and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are filming today at the great Genghis Khan restaurant, amazing Mediterranean cuisine located at 3114 Beta Bay. So if you're in the area, if you're in South Tampa, or you're looking for a Mediterranean cuisine, make sure you come and check it out. Let them know that Edge sent you, and come and definitely check it out. Getting the Edge is a great opportunity for us to highlight and talk and really learn from great business owners and leaders in the community. But it's a great opportunity to really personalize them and learn their story and have them. I always joke, when you share your story with me, you share your journey with all of us, and that's really what it's all about. Getting the Edge is a product of Edge Business Magazine. This is the latest issue of Edge Business Magazine. Make sure you go on to edgebusinessmagazine.com and make sure you subscribe. That way you'll never miss a copy, and that includes print and digital issues for the year. Dr. Louis Crespo is our cover feature for this latest issue. So great story just on trials and tribulations of him growing his business, and a lot of other great contributing writers as well. So, and I'll get into a little bit of that. We even had an article, the vice president of Mitsubishi Electric, based out of Japan, headquartered, but out of California, is one of our contributing writers. So Dean Moez Lamiam, he's the dean of the USF Muma College of Business, is one of our contributing writers. We've got a great group, just from leadership to tech, anything you may need to know business-wise. So definitely check it out. So I could ramble forever. I'm going to kind of stop and talk with the great David Burton, who's sitting next to me.
Thank you.
I appreciate you very much for being here. Dave is really a distinguished and really a fixed leader in our community. Wow, going over some of your accomplishments with everything. Well, thank you, first of all, for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here, Kelly. Thank you.
There was one of your latest endeavors that kind of stuck out to me initially, and was the new Gen X. Gen X, was it lounge, restaurant?
Gen X Tavern.
Tavern,
yeah.
Okay, I knew it had a clever spin to the name as well.
Yeah.
But being a Gen Xer myself, it definitely is something that stuck out with me.
Sure.
And yeah, very cool concept. So when do we get to look forward to that?
So we're looking to open either late February, early March. We still got some final touches we're putting on in terms of the decor, making it look fun, making it look cool, and the whole bit. But the whole concept just kind of came about. I was thinking, how fun would it be to create something that kind of pays homage to the 2 decades that I feel were like, the peak of pop culture and the music and the movies and that whole bit. So that was kind of my inspiration behind that concept.
I love it. I think, especially growing up in those, in that time period, and just how much things have changed so much over the years.
They have.
And it's great to kind of have an opportunity to feel like you're walking back in time, like, in a sense.
I mean, I think one of the greatest compliments I've heard, I've brought some friends and, some mentors and, people that I respect and trust over to just kind of take a sneak peek at what we're doing over there with the decor. And I think the best compliment I got was from a business partner of mine for one of my other concepts. Came in and he goes, "You can't help but take a look and just start smiling,
I love that.
and reminisce, and the nostalgic factor of it." So to me, that was the ultimate compliment, and that's what we're going for with the concept itself.
And I may have just asked you this, but when is that set to open?
So we're looking at late February, early March. There's still a few things we're trying to button up, so it's hard to give a definitive date, but it's very soon. And the menu development and everything has been kind of decided and done. We're just really excited to get it out there.
In downtown Tampa.
It's in downtown Tampa, on Jackson Street, kind of right in the thick of things. And we're looking forward to a busy lunch, busy happy hour, and then that growing weekend and dinner traffic downtown that keeps coming and growing that we're really excited to be a part of.
Downtown has really come along. It's really come a long way, and it's great to see the vibe and just everything, the momentum that's down there. It's great how much that's developed over the last 8 to 10 years.
I mean, it's been an ongoing process, and I lived downtown for about 9-10 years now, and just the evolution of what it was to what it's become to what it's even going to become.
Right.
It's exciting, and I can't think of a more exciting time for our city's urban future,
Right.
than right now. So
It is really exciting. There's just, for so many years I lived in, well, my kids are older now, which is probably one of the reasons I can live kind of more in the urban core of things. But for so many years I lived on the outskirts of Tampa.
Sure.
So it's really great to be now in the vibe, because I'm right near the outside of the downtown area, more in the Hyde Park area. But, you're right there and you're right in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
In fact, anyway, we've got our big parade coming up, and
Oh, yeah.
you've got to get ready for that.
Unfortunately for me, being in the hospitality restaurant business, you don't get a chance necessarily to enjoy yourself on Gasparilla. You're usually, if you have restaurants in that area, you're working.
Right, I bet you
I'll
are.
be working, but I'll definitely enjoy my Sunday.
Where everybody else is recovering, I'm sure.
Right, yeah.
Wow, so you just, so looking back at all the different things that you're involved in, let's talk about the Tampa Pizza Company.
Sure.
So how many years has that been around now? And tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So we just celebrated our 8th anniversary. We opened downtown, and actually the building I live in. So it's kind of a passion project for me, obviously.
Is that Sky Point?
I live in
Okay.
the Sky Point building downtown, right by Curtis Hickson Park, and we focus on fresh, natural, try to use local ingredients when we can, but we try to also cater to that customer that's often neglected a lot of times in restaurants, and that's that gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian customer. We do offer, a cauliflower crust and a gluten-free crust, and it's been really positively received by our community, and especially downtown. We do deliver as well. It's just been a fun project for me, and who doesn't like pizza? Everybody loves it. It's
right.
America's favorite food.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So what is, now, I'm starting to create good habits. I do not do New Year's resolutions, but I do New Year intentions. But so far, so good. I'm doing pretty good with some of those. But I have never eaten well, as far as, I live off of, hamburgers and hot dogs and pizza. But many people around me that are very health conscious. And especially, I think, in this downtown South Tampa area, people are very health conscious. And I think it's a growing, everybody wants to be healthy. My whole point is gluten. Like, what benefit is it of something that's gluten-free?
So, I mean, a lot of people actually have an allergic reaction
okay,
to
so
eating
allergies.
gluten.
Okay.
So that's something that, is obviously something that is important to make sure you're following the procedures and having that. That's a small percentage of the population, but we feel like there's a lot of people that are also undiagnosed that probably have, a definitive allergic reaction to it. Maybe they just don't know it yet. But a lot of people, have spouted the benefits of a gluten-free diet, giving them more energy and that, sort of a thing or another. I'm not a nutritionist.
Okay.
I just know I'm a businessman
He
first.
just plays one on TV. No.
I just know that there's people out there that want it, and I felt like, the
it's a
riches are
great
in the
concept.
niches, so
Right,
why
right.
not, create a niche for people who are often neglected, and the gluten-free customer is often forgotten about,
Right.
or had been. It's becoming more prevalent now, but
I have a good friend of mine that I've grown up with, and she is kind of gluten-free. She's she's all these different names and titles, but it's hard for her to find places to eat. And sometimes, like if she's visiting, we'll go somewhere to eat, and we'll have to make sure we come and we'll check out Tampa Pizza Company,
give us a
that
shot.
would give
You'll
us
be
her
happy.
right. Oh, I'm sure she would. Okay, so one of your other concepts is Holy Hog Barbecue.
Right.
So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about Holy Hog.
Sure. So Holy Hog Barbecue, my business partner Danny Hernandez and I, concept was founded. It's probably been about 8-9 years also. So kind of along that same time frame as Tampa Pizza Company. And barbecue. I went to college in the Carolinas. I always had an affinity towards great tasting barbecue, and it's kind of cool being in Florida because depending on where you are, there's differences in regional barbecue, whether it's Carolina barbecue or Texas barbecue or
Okay.
Georgia style barbecue or Alabama barbecue. But the cool thing about being in Florida is we can kind of cater to everybody, and put our own little spin on it. And we've been open now for quite some time. We've got 4 corporate-owned locations, and then we have 2 licensed locations inside of Amelie Arena,
Oh,
and then
great.
a new location that just opened in Brandon. So, it's a fun genre, it's a tasty genre, and it's kind of like pizza. Who doesn't really like barbecue? There's some people out there,
Right.
but most people love it. And
Well, and I
yeah.
never thought about there being like different versions of barbecue, like you kind of mentioned
Right.
from the different areas. And you're right, Florida is such a melting pot in a sense, where you have so many people from all different regions that you probably kind of have something for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things, people always say, man, there's a lot of restaurant concepts just in general that have started in Tampa. It's because we're kind of like a microcosm for the rest of the country. Like if something works in Tampa, it's probably going to be pretty successful nationwide just because of the balance and the, where people come from that
Right.
live here. So,
And there's a
yeah.
lot of different concepts that people maybe can relate to from when they grew up, and wherever it might have originated from, and then it works here because there's just such a mixture of
Right,
different
yeah.
people. So wow, I've seen I have not. I need to check out the Holy Hog restaurants because I have not. I've seen signs for them.
Yeah. So we've kind of got them scattered in around. We've got one downtown, one in South Tampa, one in Carrollwood, one that's our kind of our mothership location that we
Mothership.
have over by the Tampa Stadium that we use for our catering business as well, which is also big in the barbecue genre. So,
Right.
Yep.
Very cool. Okay, so we have a few more to name. So Fresh. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So Fresh is kind of my little entry, my diversification into the healthy, healthy genre. It's a fast casual concept, so it's you order. It's not full service. We bring the food out to you once it's made, but we do bowls, salads. We do wraps, and then we do smoothies as well. We've been growing pretty quickly. We have 3 corporate locations and 2 franchised locations. So it's been a lot of fun. People are starting to eat healthier, demanding our products more and more. And it's, of all our concepts, probably our fastest growing.
Really? I was going to ask, do you have a favorite?
You can't
That's
do
like-
that.
that's like
You
your
can't do
children,
that to
right?
me.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't pick a favorite baby. I mean, yeah, they're all my favorites. I mean, there's some that I work on a little bit more than others just because of the dynamics of who my partners are in each
Right.
concept. But I mean, I love them all. They're all my babies.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And I guess, that was an unfair question, I'm sure. Yeah, and it's really hard.
I get that question a lot though, and I always say the same thing. So yeah.
Right, you got to stay safe with it.
Yeah.
No, and I imagine it is hard because you probably leave, you love them all the same in a sense, and they all have their own, different qualities. But okay,
Yeah.
so we've only just begun to talk about all of Dave's everything he's into. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Getting the Edge.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you for being with us today. I'm enjoying our conversation and learning a lot from Restaurateur Dave Burton. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm choking a little bit during the break, so hopefully I'll be okay now. So, okay, first of all, so we've talked, if you've missed any, I'm going to stab myself with a pencil. If you have missed any part of the beginning of the show, please make sure you hit rewind and go back and catch the earlier segments. Okay, so we have already talked about a couple multiple, Tampa Pizza Company. We talked a little bit about your new upcoming, the Gen X Tavern, So Fresh, Holy Hog, and we've got a couple other things that we're going to mention. How do you, now I'm sure great partners is going to be maybe the answer to this question, but how do you handle all these multiple brands and kind of giving 100% to everything?
So in each concept that I'm involved in, I do have managing partners where it's the only thing that they do is that particular concept, so they can focus 100% on each concept. What I've discovered, you know, kind of my specialty and strength is being able to help with the branding and the development of the concept itself, in the image and that sort of thing, in the menu development, and then kind of turn it off to the operators who are, you know, going to be handling the day-to-day stuff and all the nuances that come with that. So it's just been a matter of finding those right people, and they've all do a great job.
And let's talk about that for a second. I mean, how difficult is it to find those great people? I mean,
it's difficult. You know, I think the biggest thing that I've realized I need to do is surround myself with people that counterbalance my weaknesses, and it allows me to focus more on my own personal strengths. And it's difficult to hire people. You know, I've always been a fan of the adage, you know, hire slow and fire fast.
Right.
And, you know, I really take my time methodically to make sure that everybody that I'm working with kind of, you know, we gel, we kind of have the same vision, but maybe we just think differently or we have different strengths and weaknesses. And knock on wood, I've had luck with everybody that I've been involved with so far. So,
well, nobody wants a yes man, so to speak. I mean, you want someone that's going to...
you want to be challenged.
That's why you have the particular people around you that you do. But yeah, and you're, you know, just as I have the great privilege of interviewing so many great business owners, and that is, you know, hiring and creating and building a good staff is always difficult. Or not even just staff, because you're talking managing partners. These people are, these managers are managing your babies, as we discussed earlier.
I mean, you know, the personnel and staffing decision is the most important decision you make as a business owner.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it ultimately determines whether or not the business is a success or not, 100%. I'm sure too, right? Okay, so let's talk about, you have another concept, Flock and Stock. Over at Sparkman Wharfe, which is, wow, I need to get out more because I've not been over there yet, but just
it's
Channel
awesome.
Side has really revitalized, and it's really come, I've heard great things.
Yeah, the space is beautiful in and of itself, and kind of how that all came about is SPP, which is the real estate arm of Jeff Finnick's company, decided they really kind of wanted to tackle and reinvent the old Channel Side Plaza. And their vision for it was creating this dining garden with little like kiosks made of shipping containers with different chef-driven and restaurateur-owned concepts, along with a beer garden and a cocktail program and a coffee shop and that sort of a thing. And I think they really nailed it. And they approached me about a year and a half ago, and you know, kind of shared with me their vision and who the chefs and restaurateurs they were talking with, and I was blown away by the talent. I mean, these were some of the best and most well-respected, people in our industry in the city of Tampa, and they were all committed to doing something. So I told the SPP team, like, save me one. I definitely am interested. And, once you kind of finalize the menus from all the other concepts, I'd like to develop something that kind of fits a gap or what I feel like might be missing. And once I saw, everybody's menus, I thought, here we are a couple hundred feet from Amalie Arena. What about just a fun chicken and burgers concept? And that's kind of how Flock and Stock was born. And Sparkman Wharfe has opened up to great reviews, getting lots of publicity. We're featured in Food and Wine, a national publication, which is awesome. And we just feel very fortunate to be a part of it. It's been a lot of fun.
It sounds like an amazing opportunity.
Sure.
So I'm sure you feel honored that they came to you and reached out about this opportunity.
Yeah.
So is that kind of how your brain works with these concepts, is, let me see, I think it's interesting that you waited to kind of see what was there, and that way you can kind of see what's missing.
Sure.
And kind of add that special then touch to finalize it all.
Yeah.
That says something about your creativeness, I think.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's a compliment.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And, I always kind of felt like, and I say this phrase a lot, and people always kind of laugh at it when I say it, but, the riches are in the niches. And I believe, like, you've got to create something. You can't be everything to everybody. You've got to figure out what's missing, whether it's a small little segment of the market or just the broad market in general, and come up with something that, kind of fills a need, fills a void, fills a niche. And that was kind of my approach to Flock and Stock and really almost everything that I've been a part of in general.
How do you, when you look at, and those are unique concepts. I really think all of them are, like how when you look at them. Yeah, actually it's really cool. But even with unique concepts, you're going to have those that duplicate or that try or that, or even though Burger King and McDonald's aren't anywhere unique, right? They're not, but for every McDonald's there's a Burger King.
Sure.
And there's always going to be a concept that comes along. How do you, with having multiple brands, like how do you deal with like competition or competitors or others that maybe try to emulate what you do?
I mean, that's obviously something that is a real concern and thought about in the hospitality and restaurant business.
And I think with any industry, really, so that's why I always ask these questions. Anybody can relate to them in all different industries, but specifically, how?
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with the locations and the sites that you pick, and you're not probably going to put a barbecue location, a concept, near another barbecue place because it's hard to differentiate that genre of food.
Right.
So
without having somebody at the door standing there and explaining it to them maybe every time they came.
Right.
How can you simplify? How can you simply?
I think a lot of it just comes down to where you choose to open up your business and your locations, and just to make sure like this area needs this genre because it's missing, or there's a big enough market for it. I think you really have to do your research on the front end to make sure the demographics fit the area. You're probably not going to put a So Fresh or healthy concept in an area where people just don't eat healthy.
Right, absolutely, do your homework on where you're going.
Do your homework, right.
Well, and I'm sure just from reading some of your background and kind of learning more about you, I think if they bring on Dave Burton, then they're going to succeed. They'll be good.
I don't know about that.
But when you look at the restaurant business, at least from what I've heard over the years, it's a very tough business initially to get into, right? I mean, I think I'm not sure what the statistics are, but turnover rate is high, I think, in the restaurant world. So what makes your brands work? What's your secret sauce, other than you?
Well, I mean, it's funny. We always, joke with like, what's the quickest way to get $1 million? And the joke is, start with 2 and then open up a restaurant. That's kind of the joke in our business. But, it is a challenging business. And, the failure rate is high. And, it's just very operationally driven because the margins aren't huge in the hospitality and restaurant business. So you just have to make sure, and it all kind of goes back, the recurring theme is that you're filling some kind of niche or void that's missing. You're not doing something that's already out there. And you're doing something to really differentiate yourself and your product offering. But right now it's a difficult time in the restaurant business. That the amount of commercial space is not large. There's not a huge inventory of what I would consider A or B locations. Build out costs are expensive because every good contractor is busy right now. The labor market's tight, so you just got to really make sure you focus. And you know, I always joke that opening a restaurant is kind of like if you're going to war. You know, you don't want to go in undermanned or under capitalized.
Right.
You know, you want to make sure you've got enough set aside for those kind of, you know, surprises that might be thrown your way
Right.
as you're going through opening. So.
Well, and we talked earlier about developing great managing partners and bringing that, and that being really essential to building out the team. But you mentioned just kind of the staff really that's running not running the restaurants, but whatever you call, like, that's seeing the day-to-days. You know,
Absolutely.
That's how hard is that? Like, because I can imagine the turnover rate is probably high too, right?
Oh yeah, turnover rate in restaurants, generally speaking, is really high. And you know, one of the things that I tell my staff all the time, the frontline employees in particular, because most people that are visiting a Tampa Pizza Company or So Fresh or, you know, any of our other locations, they don't know or care who Dave Burton is. They could care less. They know Joe or Ellen, whoever's like they're dealing with in their transaction. Right. So I just really make it known to my staff that, hey, take care of the customers and I'll do my hardest to take care of you.
Right.
And you know, it's worked pretty well. Our turnover rate, when you look at the industry statistics, is very different, you know, than what most restaurants are seeing. And I think a lot of it has to do with just being a good boss.
Right, and the
showing you care
environment
about
that
people.
you, right.
And, you know, take
I
care of
believe
the
that, for
customers,
sure.
and they'll take care of my employees, and they'll in turn take care of my customers.
Right.
So.
How do you find good staff, like frontline and cooks, and whether they're waiters or waitresses or bartenders? Like, where do you, how do they find you?
Some of the traditional websites and, you know, the things that are out there do kind of work,
Oh,
whether
do they?
it be Indeed and Craigslist and all that kind
Okay.
of stuff. But, you know, I still think the best source for me to, you know, fill my positions is to use employee referrals.
Right.
And incentivize my employees with, you know, hey, you're a great employee. You probably know people who would be
Right.
great employees. Who can you bring? Who do you know that would, you know, enjoy
Right.
working for us? And, you know, they last 90 days, I'm going to throw you a little bit of money. They
Right,
last 6
right.
months, I'll throw you a little bit of more. You know, and it seems to
And
work
that kind of
pretty
helps
well.
have them mentor
Right.
them, and they'll help kind of look
Exactly.
over them as you're doing the same. But
Yeah, and I think it just kind of, you know, creates this kind of cycle of employee loyalty, you
Right.
know, because, you know, they don't want to look bad to me and that
Right.
sort of thing by bringing in someone who's not going to work. And, you know, so it seems to have been working pretty well generally across the board in all of our concepts.
yeah,
So,
no, I can see that. That's great, and I've heard that, you know, and that seems to work a lot, really well. So it's great to see that incentivize.
right. Yeah. I mean, and you know, whether
Works.
people, you know, employees love appreciation. That's
right.
obviously the biggest thing that people like. A lot of people think it's money, but in general, it's really
It's appreciation.
You know, and I think you show that, hey, I appreciate the job that you're doing. Who else do you know?
Right.
So it kind of plays on that a little bit, and then, you know, there's a compensation reward if, you know, the
Absolutely.
person they bring last. So it works out
Sounds
well.
good. All right, definitely good advice. So we're going to learn more from Dave Burton. Don't go away. We'll be back with Getting the Edge.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Welcome back to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. We at Getting the Edge really enjoy sharing stories of great individuals, great business owners and leaders in our community. We love to highlight and promote their businesses and their endeavors, their babies, so to speak, but we love really sharing their story and really learning more about them. And really that's what Getting the Edge is all about. For more information, check out edgebusinessmagazine.com, where you can find us on Facebook or Instagram, all the different platforms. And make sure you check out all the previous shows we've had. We come to you every Thursday evening, and we're very happy to be here again with Dave Burton, and really restaurateur, Tampa native, very wowing with all of his accomplishments, and really just a great niche. And I think some of the best advice you've given us today is really looking for that what's missing, and that special niche where you can really provide something that's needed.
Absolutely.
And how can you be different? So that's great advice. So we've talked a lot about your restaurant concepts. If you've missed any of what we've just hit rewind and make sure you catch the beginning of it. But the Getaway is a really cool concept right on the water. Tell us a little bit about the Getaway.
Sure.
Another one of your children.
Yeah, another one of my children. You know, having grown up in Tampa, you know, I've always kind of lamented that there's not that many awesome, cool places on the water, you know, and we're surrounded by all this water. So, and I remember a piece of advice that I heard from Richard Gonsmart, who's, you know, legendary Tampa restaurateur, the Columbia Restaurant Group and all that. I remember him, you know, saying his father told him one time, if you can ever open a restaurant on the water, do it. Figure out a way to make it work. You don't even have to be that good, and people will come. And you know, and that was just kind of, you know, inspiration for me. I was like, it'd be really fun to do something on the water. So about 7 years ago, I got a call to take a look at this property along Gandy Boulevard, just when you cross the bridge from Tampa into Saint Pete, that had been neglected for years. I joke like the only things that seemed to be on the property were feral cats, hypodermic needles, and heaps of trash.
Oh, wow.
And but, you know, I saw the you know, an opportunity there.
And you had a vision,
and
obviously.
a chance,
right.
yeah, to really work with a good friend of mine who was looking to make a jump into the hospitality business. And we came up with a plan and a process to acquire the property and develop, you know, a place that was kind of inspired by some of our favorite destinations in the Keys and the Caribbean. Just a laid back, fun, friendly vibe. You know, kind of a no rush man kind of a thing,
right.
You know. Good food, good drink, entertainment, you know, live music and the whole bit. And, you know, we opened it up 5 years ago, and we've grown and been named one of the Tampa Bay Business Journal's fastest growing businesses, one of the USF alumni owns fastest growing businesses. And it's just been a super fun process. And we just opened our second location in July over in the south side of St. Pete as well. That's inside of a marina. It's just been a fun project to work on, you know, and I've had a lot of fun with that, and have learned a lot. And yeah. You know, we're still looking at what else might we be able to do along the water in different areas. So
now, how much land do you have there on the water?
The Getaway property on Gandy is about 1.5 acres.
Okay.
And we've got, you know, dueling tiki-bars. We've got boat slips for people to bring their boats on. Just a lot of dining tables. We've built our kitchen out of shipping containers, kind of right along, you know, close by where everyone sits and hangs out along the water. And it's just been been a great experience.
Yeah, it is. I've drank a little too much a couple occasions I've been there.
It can happen.
But I was with friends once and we went and we were on the boat and it was just nice how you can pull right in with the boat slips and then you kind of there, you can eat, you have a great time and listen to the music, and then you get back on the boat, you can leave, and it just seemed with the location wise, it's great and a great vibe. I mean, I kind of get the whole Jamaican feel, you're talking about, just the no worries, and
and that's kind of what the vibe we went for, and it's been a really busy place, and we've had some challenges and some fast growth there, and it's been a great learning experience for me and my business partners there, and we're excited about it.
Now, how long does that take you to develop? Like once you found the land and you were able to get it, and so now, you had the plans and you're ready.
Well, that was about 1.5 to 2 year process. That took some time because it was a neglected property.
Right.
It needed to kind of be
How do you get rid of the cats?
How do we get rid of all this stuff that's here?
Right.
It took some time, and but we were committed, we were patient, and we made it work.
Absolutely.
So,
and it's just again just a great piece of property, and I'm surprised that it was available, like we were talking about earlier, as far as there not being a lot of property for these special kind of concepts, and the fact that was there, and it was meant for the Getaway.
It was, I guess, meant to be. It was fate, I don't know, but we were kind of pleasantly surprised and happy that it was available, and
So let me ask, when you have multiple locations of a concept, obviously you want to make sure that they're consistent, right? And that the brand is consistent. What are some of the challenges that you face when you are building out multiple locations for a single brand?
Sure. So with a single brand opening multiple locations, you've got to have processes and procedures in place to ensure that what you're putting out to your guests is the same no matter where the location is. And that can be a challenge for an entrepreneurial type. So I think one of the things that I realized and recognized early on was I need to find someone who's done this before, who's operationally strong, and can help me develop these systems and processes and procedures, because I'm kind of your standard entrepreneur. I'm not the big detail guy. I'm more of a big picture guy. So I, made sure that I brought someone in, and he had experience with several, fast growth companies and hospitality to help set up their systems and procedures. And, he's been just a great gift for me to have across the board. And he kind of works for my corporate entity to help with all of our concepts. So,
and then, we've talked about licensing, franchising a little bit. What are some of the differences between licensing and franchising?
I mean, licensing is a little less, I would say, regulated kind of a thing. And for the franchisee, it's a little bit more of an investment. Usually a franchisee, you've kind of got more of the systems in place from the franchisor and that sort of a thing. The differences are really not that big. It's just kind of the way it's structured and that sort of a thing. The whole franchising model is a lot more regulated.
Right.
And it can open yourself up to a lot more lawsuits and liability as a franchisor. So.
One of the magazine issues we did, the orange one, which was focused around Orange Theory, we talked a lot about franchising and licensing and the difference, and there was a lot of information and a lot of...
it's a lot of information. It's a lot of dull information. Right. Yeah. It's very, legally specific, and it's just, it's different.
So what are some of the benefits versus keeping like all of the restaurants or your concept under one organization, or versus franchising it out or licensing?
There's been a lot of companies that have success doing both. Chipotle is a company that still all their stores are 100% corporately owned. And then there's other, companies like McDonald's who, work with franchisees and everything. I don't know that there's an easy answer to what's the better system.
Right.
It's just franchising is a faster way to grow.
Right. With other people's money.
With other people's money. But, with a corporately owned entity and concept where all the locations are corporately owned, you have more control.
Right.
And that sort of a thing. So it's just it's a balance between the two, and I think each entrepreneur maybe is in that situation needs to think hard about what's important to them and get get sound legal advice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess different concepts it would depend on, what the business is and,
Sure.
and what would be how it would be best to grow.
Right. And some concepts are, a franchise concept needs to be simple to operate and execute. There really needs to be really sound systems and processes and procedures from everything from purchasing ingredients to cooking to the customer service experience. And if a concept is a little more difficult to replicate, franchising probably isn't the way to go. So, yeah.
Interesting. A lot to think about. And you're right. I mean, the best bet is if anybody's interested or thinking about franchising or licensing, there's obviously attorneys and people that specialize.
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of good resources
all of that.
out there. I'm not one of them, but there are a lot of good people out there.
Well, you have, again, so what made you want to go into, how did you start? What made you want to go into the restaurant business?
It's interesting. I got a degree in marketing and worked in corporate America for a little bit and recognized and realized that I wanted to work for myself and be my own boss. And I had an opportunity to take a family-owned business that wasn't in hospitality. It was a distribution company, and ran it for my family for a short period of time and realized, okay, being my own boss is what I want, but necessarily, not necessarily that company that I was running was what I wanted to do. It wasn't my passion. And, I'd always worked in restaurants, worked in hospitality, growing up and, throughout school and everything, and just really fell in love with the industry itself. I felt like it fit my personality. It fit what I enjoyed, what I felt I was good at. And so I just decided, it was time for me to take a chance and, get started and do my own thing.
Also, the hospitality industry is probably one of the toughest. I mean, labor intensive, like long hours, late nights. I mean, it's a lot of work. And then hopefully you have a great team that's there to support you. But if somebody's not there or somebody doesn't show up, somebody, you're covering. I mean, because it's present day, you have to be in the moment. I mean, growing up and through college, I bartended and did different things. And that whole industry in the restaurant, it's tough work.
It's tough work. We
long
work
hours.
when other people aren't.
Right.
Like yesterday was, Martin Luther King Day, and we weren't open at Sparkman Wharfe because we're not generally open on Mondays and Tuesdays. And, there was some feedback. I'm surprised you guys aren't open. It's a holiday, but a lot of people are off work. And, kind of the thought process in your head is, as a business owner is, well, can't my employees have the day off?
Right,
too?
right.
Like kind of a thing. But, the perception is, we're there and we're supposed to be working when other people aren't.
Right.
It gets
That's
a little
true,
challenging.
though, because you do want to be able to provide those days off. But again,
we're business owners just like everybody else.
Right.
We want happy employees.
But it's funny, as I talked to a few other business owner friends and associates yesterday, they're all like, "Yeah, we're working. Our team may be off, or the staff's off, but no, we're all in the office." But all right, well, still a lot more yet to talk about. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Getting the Edge. Welcome back to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for being with us today. Really excited about everything happening with Edge Business Magazine. If you have not yet, make sure you go on our website, edgebusinessmagazine.com. You can subscribe for the latest issue of Edge Business Magazine, and make sure you never miss a future copy. Anyway, make sure you take care of that and do that, and look out for the new copies coming out in the community. Actually, this week they'll be dispersed throughout the South Tampa area. So really excited about that. And I know as you're watching the show, you see all the commercials that are in between all of our pauses, and we would love to have your business featured in one of our commercials. So please make sure you reach out to info@edgebusinessmagazine.com. We'd love to talk with you more about having your business featured on the show. And want to thank one of our sponsors for the show, WeBeam TV. If you're looking to have your own show, like Getting the Edge, and if you've got your own edge, in a sense, make sure you reach out to us. We'd be happy to connect you and find out more information on how you can have your own it's so much more than a podcast, right? In fact, I guess I need to start warning everyone about that you're actually going to be on video. Not that you aren't completely ready, but I heard that we hear that quite often, so I have to start making sure. But that means you haven't seen some of our other shows, so we'll have to make sure we're doing what we need to do to make sure that's out there.
Yeah,
so
keep getting the word out.
Yeah, but no, thank you so much for being with us today.
Happy to be here.
And again, if you've missed any part of the show, go back and hit rewind. I don't know if there's really a rewind button anymore, but check out the beginning of it and all the different concepts. And you have such a great mind. It's so interesting for me to talk to so many people that just have their own kind of creativeness to them, and it's like pieces of a puzzle that come together. But love to get to know you a little bit more. Now, you're from the Tampa area originally?
From Tampa, yeah. My mom still lives in the house I grew up in.
How amazing is that? I envy you for that. I mean, how wonderful is that to go to the home your old childhood bedroom?
Well,
like
she has renovated.
I can imagine. True. I guess Dave's
awesome.
room isn't still there.
Yeah, whenever I go back for holidays and whatnot, or just to hang out with my mom for a little bit, it's cool. It's nostalgic.
Yeah.
And,
I bet it is. Mm-hmm. So, and you went to, I think we might have even mentioned this earlier. Did you attend school here in Tampa?
So, yeah, I grew up and went to Jesuit High School here in Tampa. I went to Furman University in South Carolina for my undergrad, and ended up finding my way back to Tampa after working in corporate America and doing that whole bit, and got my MBA at USF, and great experience all the way around.
Now, did your parents own their own business?
So my father...
I think we touched on that.
Yeah, my father owned a business that my grandparents actually started that I was involved in too. That was a coffee distribution company, actually. And I ran it for some time, and I was the sole family member involved in the business, and just decided this wasn't quite what I wanted to do long term for my career, but put a plan in place to grow it, and ended up selling it.
That's got to be tough too.
Yeah, it was tough.
And now you're in like a third generation business, right? It
was tough. I mean, I was the sole family member involved in the business. My father had passed away, and
do you have brothers and sisters?
I do have two sisters. Neither one were involved in the business. So talking to my mom and explaining to her, and everything, and her advice was just kind of simple and to the point. It's the way my mom is. You got to do what's going to make you happy.
Right.
Don't feel an obligation, and life's too short kind of a thing.
Right.
So,
great advice.
Yeah. She's always good for that. So,
Well, I think that's great that she's here. You're still close. You're close, and that. No, I grew up in Indianapolis, so the idea of kind of having a childhood home, even though your room might be different. And unfortunately, I lost my mom a few years ago. So wow, I just really envy the relationship, and just enjoy while you can. So that's great.
What's kind of cool is my wife. I'm first generation Tampa, but my wife I think is like fourth generation.
Oh,
Tampa
really?
native, which those people are like unicorns. They don't exist. So it's kind of cool hearing her family stories about how Tampa's progressed and how we keep getting better and better, and it's really cool to hear.
Right. So. Wow, I bet so. Now, when you look back on, let's just say, okay, so if you could go back in time, let's say 30 years, what advice would you give your younger self?
Just do what makes you happy. Follow your heart. Don't overthink things. Just try to keep things simple and appreciate what you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Do you have a favorite quote?
Man, that's a tough one. I say it all the time, so my staff would probably kill me if I didn't say this, but the riches are in the niches.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
No, and it really is, and it's kind of been your motto in a sense, like you said.
Yeah.
So in just kind of hearing your story, it's and it's worked for you. I mean, and that's kind of what makes you kind of Dave. You know, it stands you out. So
Right.
yeah, no,
Thank
I
you.
see that. What might people be surprised to know about you?
That's another tough one. A lot of people are surprised. Maybe it's because they see me wearing the glasses all the time. They assume I'm maybe a nerdy kind of a guy. But I actually was a 4-year letterman in college football and went to school on a football scholarship. So a
Oh,
lot of people are
really?
always surprised to hear that. Yeah, because probably don't look like a football player or anything like that, or act like one in the stereotypical way.
Well,
But
we all have
people
to
seem
age,
be,
right?
You know, yeah, it happens. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are kind
can
of
see
surprised
it.
to hear that. Yeah.
What lesson well, first of all, can I start with, what's the best advice that you've ever been given? So is there something somebody said to you once that just stuck?
You know, it's simple and it's 3 words. And it's a business mentor of mine who's 88 years old now, and
That's great.
a former colonel with from the Army and went to West Point and the whole bit. But the 3 words he used to always tell me were decide to decide. Like, don't procrastinate is basically what he was getting at. You know, like when you have to decide to do something and then you have to act on it. And you know,
That's great advice.
that's kind of something that I've always taken to heart.
To decide. You know, sometimes even with me, I think, and a lot of us, sometimes we making, especially as you're building the business earlier on, decisions are critical. Obviously,
Right.
every decision you make determines kind of paths and just different things. Sometimes it's hard to make a decision because you're unsure of the outcome or how
Yeah.
and nobody can. We know there's no guarantee with anything. We never know the outcome.
Right,
But
never.
one
Yeah.
thing I've kind of had to work on in my own mind is making a decision sometime. Not making a decision is a decision by itself.
Sure.
Right? And that's not
Yeah.
necessarily a good thing.
Yeah,
Sometimes
great
you need to make a decision and move forward. So it's just funny that you mentioned that because that's something I battle with sometimes is
Yeah.
just make the decision and just move forward.
Yeah. And another good piece of advice I received, was it's easy when you're a business owner, you try to surround yourself with people you kind of like, maybe people who are like you and this, that, and the other. But in, the business world, you got to challenge yourself. You got to surround yourself with people who think differently, who are different, who aren't kind of like you said earlier, they're not yes men, kind of a thing, or yes women, and I feel like that's really important too, is to surround yourself with people who are just different than you.
Yeah,
And
I
have
think
had different life
that's
experiences.
great advice too.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, as we get older too, and as we try to gauge our lives, we want to surround ourselves with people that are always going to make us happy all the time, and
Right.
it's going to be a
Yeah.
happy world. And I always joke, in my world, everybody's happy. But at the same time, that's true. I mean, maybe it's the best person for my business, your business, any of our businesses may not be necessarily the person that makes us happy.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
they're the best person for the business.
Exactly.
So that's
Yep.
an interesting concept to think. Sometimes we hear things exactly when we're supposed to hear them.
Right.
One
Isn't
of
that
my
weird?
favorite little things
Yeah.
I say is, we get there when we get there.
Yeah.
Sometimes something may not make perfect sense today, but anyway. So yeah, I'm hearing this for a reason. So what might be the toughest lesson that you've learned? Like something maybe that kind of started out early on, but maybe it's been the toughest.
I think, one of the toughest things in our business is, when you have that one thing that just doesn't quite go the way you want it to, or it doesn't go according to plan, and maybe you have a restaurant or concept or a location that underperforms, or maybe even just outright fails. Just owning that and realizing, okay, this isn't necessarily me being a failure, just
Right.
It's kind of like the old Thomas Edison quote, like I didn't find 1,000 ways, or I didn't fail 1,000 times when I was trying to invent the light bulb. I just found 1,000 ways that a light bulb doesn't work.
I love
kind
that,
of a
yeah.
thing. And I think that's something that you have to realize, is that it's okay to
not get it right initially.
yeah,
'cause
I
I
feel
don't even like the word fail. I mean, because it's like
I hate that word
yeah.
too. But
Especially when you're continuously trying to find the way to do what you're doing.
I feel like you learn more from your
Yeah,
failures than
absolutely
you do
do.
your successes, and I think you need to not be afraid to fail.
Right.
So.
And I think, when any of us are starting out businesces, I think we are almost, the fear of failure really holds
It's a
many
real
of
thing.
us back, right?
Yeah.
But I think once you're in it and it's kind of your world, you realize that, our the methods of getting to where we're going, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, we've got a bunch of those. I mean, the goal, the destination, you know, never really changes, but you have to be so adaptable to change and being, you know, ready to maneuver that you might find 10,000 ways it doesn't work, but you might find even more that it will. So I don't think we fail until we let it stop us, right? And then we can
you
say
just gotta
maybe.
keep pushing forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've talked about a little bit, we talked about building a great team. So any just simple tips as far as, and we might have already covered it, we talked about great people, but just on building a team.
Yeah,
What's been your best experience?
I think the best thing is, you know, you're never going to find the person that you can just fit right into the perfect, you know, box that may be for a role you're looking for. You have to be willing to take a chance on people and develop them and give them the tools and resources necessary to succeed, because a lot of people out there will surprise you and will step up to the challenge. So there might be people on your own team right now that are in roles that you could build up and, you know, continue to develop into more, you know, responsible type roles within your organization. You just got to give them the opportunity and give them a chance.
Right.
And I think a lot of people will surprise you.
Yeah, well, that's great advice. You've been involved in so much in the community, and we touched on some of Dave's concepts, the Tampa Pizza Company, the Holy Hog Barbecue, the Getaway. If you're looking for a Sunday getaway, check out the Getaway, or any day of the week. But So Fresh, the Gen X Tavern, which is coming soon, and I'm hopefully the Flock in stock if you're near Sparkman Wharfe. And you've been involved in the community a lot. I know on the board of directors for Visit Tampa Bay, Tampa Downtown Partnership you've been involved with, the Glazers Children's Museum, the Crisis Center, Tampa Museum of Art. I could go on, and I'm probably going to run out of time before we do that. But thank you for your contributions to the community and just for all of your interesting concepts. And
I appreciate it.
And I'm sure we have a lot more to look forward to.
Hopefully, that's the plan.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going. I still feel like I got some more, you know, years ahead of me in this business.
Well, I
and
hope
I'm going to have
so.
some fun. With everything.
Well, Dave, thank you so much. Get the edge with us every week. We bring on great business leaders and great stories to share with you. And in the meantime, check out our website, edgebusinessmagazine.com. We'll see you next week. Never stop dreaming.